Hey everybody, next chapter of The Art of Survival is called Alone. And the guys found shelter through the rainstorm. They were able to actually get some sleep and kind of get their clothes dry. The storm passed over. They had a pretty good night. But one of the guys, Matt, he wakes up and his buddy Noah is not there, and he's kind of worried. And some time passes, 20, 30 minutes, and he's like, he's not here yet. And finally, after about an hour, Noah walks back in and he's like, hey, we need to talk. This is where the book really gets interesting. I mean, it's been interesting up to this point, but this is kind of where the story changes. They start to have some revelations in a sense. And what Noah says is that we need to spend more time with God. And so he was out alone in nature and just spending time with he and God. And I think, being in nature is a very refreshing experience. Even just, being alone in a park, you don't necessarily have to go out in the middle of nowhere, but just being out in nature, being outside, you can really experience kind of a cool thing when you think about your relationship with God. You think about everything that God has created, whether it's, the birds that are flying around or the grass, the trees, whatever it is. And so this chapter is all about spending alone time with God, having that quiet time. You may have experienced that at camp. You may have experienced that on trek. You may have experienced that maybe just in your home. But spending alone time with God is very, very important. And the survival tip that he has here is, well, how to be rescued, right? And sometimes you can get lost in the woods. And so what you need to do, he suggests here, is don't move. Because if people are looking for you, they're going to go to the last known location, and you may be near there, but you just not realize how far away you are. And he says to be still, conserve your energy. When you're lost, you expel a lot of energy hiking around. And yes, maybe you need to go back and you know where the trail is at, or maybe you hear the road or whatever, but just be careful not to use too much energy is what he's talking about. And our spiritual survival tips that he uses, and it's a well-known verse, Psalm 46, verse 10, says, "Be still and know that I am God." And maybe you have had some experience having quiet time or alone time with God, but maybe it's been a while. And I think it's important to spend alone time with God, just you and him. Maybe it's even just 5 minutes, maybe it's longer, but just sit in silence and just know that God is who he is. Like we've talked about in previous chapters in this book, that God is there to rescue us. God is there to provide shelter for us. God is going to give us strength that we need, and we really need to just be still and know that he's going to take care of us. And so that's kind of what I want to end with here. The question that he asked is, what do you do to spend time alone with God? Is it easy for you, or is it difficult? Why or why not? So I hope that you're able to spend some alone time with God, because it really is important and it is very refreshing.